I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Here.
Mr. Lindemann?
Here.
Dr. Gomez?
Here.
Mr. Ramos?
Here.
Mr. Bering?
Here. Item D, approval of the minutes through 1 through 5. Entertain a motion, Mr. Lindemann.
I move to approve the minutes of item 1 through 5.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Ramos. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Sí.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bering?
Yes. Item E, summary of current events, Superintendent Samaniego.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Bering, board members. First of all, Mr. Bering, we'd like to offer our condolences to you and your family for the loss of your son. I know you're going through a very difficult time, but you need to be strong. Also, our after-school DUSD enrichment program, once the board approves positions, will begin in January for the other schools that don't have the 21st century program. So this will allow for some enrichment activities along with some opportunities for extended learning to happen at the other sites. And there will be an extensive report on the new construction of DHS, which already began, and the crew is already working there. So I just wanted to give you that, but there will be a report a little bit later. Also asking our parents in our community to get involved at their school sites. All of our schools are having a tough time attracting parents to join PTSO or even to take those leadership roles, and it's making it very difficult for schools to do any type of activities or fundraising or any organization when there's not even officers. So parents, if you are out there, your schools need you and your support. And that's all I have.
Okay, we also have a hosted report by Martha Alonso, or was that
Yes,
part of it? Was that
She's
part
here,
of it?
yes.
Okay, go ahead, Martha.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Samaniego, and members of the public. My name is Martha Alonso, and I am the biomedical teacher at Douglas High School. I'm one of 4 advisors for HOSA, which is Future Health Professionals Organization. It's a student-driven organization, and I have with me Ms. Nicole Preciado, who is my chapter president, but Ms. Sofia Michel is also our executive president. We do have 4 chapters, and so we have 4 officers, and from the 4 officers, we combine and have an executive council so that we can get more things done, less discussion with less people. So we do have our 2 main officers here represented. And my purpose for coming to you today, we've been meaning to do this since August, but we had some setbacks. Last year, I wasn't able to come to present, but one of our students, Garrett Duarte, was our officio, and he presented on HOSA's behalf. And we sent you pictures and a little explanation of what happened last year. But last year, we did have our state conference be virtual. Our students did compete. We had about 60 students compete at our state level conference, even though it was virtual. Of those, we had... oh my gosh, I should have looked at the numbers. I think about 15 students, no, 20. How many was it? 20 students that qualified for nationals. So we actually did very, very well, even though it was virtual. And we had Sophia's team who got first place in creative problem solving. Nicole got first place in healthcare photography. We had teams in community awareness. We had a public health team, and we had some individuals. We actually had a freshman who first year of high school virtually actually placed in nursing, which we never, ever, ever do. And he got 4th place in the state, so we were very proud of them. The other freshman student placed 2nd in state for medical assisting. Again, these are hard competitions because they are competing with the entire state, with programs in the Valley and in Phoenix and in Tucson that actually have nursing programs, and our students actually did very well. But the reason why I'm here today is because Ms. Nicole competed in health career photography, and she actually placed 9th in the nation. And so she placed at nationals. The experience was not what we had hoped for her because, of course, nationals is a very big event, and it was virtual, and we just had, little pictures on our screens. But we are very, very, very proud of her, and so I did want to present to her her Excellence Award for her being a finalist in healthcare photography for exemplifying the high standards and excellence encouraged of HOSA for participating in a healthcare profession. So I'm going to have her tell you a little bit about her competition.
So my competition was in healthcare photography. Essentially, you pick 3 health professions and you interview them. I picked a registered nurse, an epidemiologist, and an aerospace medical technician. I picked each and every one of them because I think they were very vital during the pandemic, especially the epidemiologist. We discussed a lot about the policies she had to do and change throughout the pandemic. I chose health career photography in hopes of really putting those health professions out there because I know that there's a lot of students who don't know what an aerospace medical technician is, and I wanted them to learn more about that profession. And I wanted to inspire them to really pursue any of those careers, and yeah.
So again, we are very, very proud of her accomplishment. We've only had one other team place at nationals. I do have to brag. Our HOSA chapter is very, very successful. We place around 60 students to state every single year. And from those, I think the smallest group we've taken to nationals was 7 students. And that's for the past 12 years. We have always qualified students to go to nationals. Our biggest group has been 25 students that we've taken to nationals. So we do very well, but we don't really get on stage at nationals. We've only had one other team manage it. So we're very, very proud of Nicole having represented us so well. For this year, we have lots of hopes. Things are a little harder because of the pandemic, activities and getting together. One of the things that we did here in Douglas 2 years ago before the pandemic, in January, we hosted a mini conference here in Douglas. It was actually picked up by our state, and now our state is going to reproduce the same idea conference throughout the whole state. The idea was to have students come into Douglas High School. We did a Saturday event. We had guest speakers. We had at the time, mayor come speak to the students. We had health professionals come speak to the students. And in the afternoon, they performed their competitions. And we had teachers and community members that helped us judge those students. And that really helped them prepare. And so now that was picked up by our state, and we're going to be doing these mini competition practices, conferences throughout the whole state for our state competitors to go to nationals. And so as our last note, we would like to invite the board when we have this again, and it'll be January, February when we're getting ready to go to state. We will host this type of event, have guest speakers in the morning. We provide lunch for all of our members who join us and our invited guests. And in the afternoon, we do require help with judging students. Some competitions, most of our competitions have a presentation second round, and so we have students present. And the judging sheets are really not necessarily about the knowledge of the topic. For example, public health this year is oral care, which we do have an expert in the house. But other than that, most people don't really know a whole lot about oral health. It's not about knowing about oral health. It's about, did the students cover the topics? Did they give good presentations? Did they speak well? And so we really need the help from our community to have someone judging the students and giving them tips on how to present. So when that comes around, we would hope that you are able to join us. And so I do want to present Nicole with her award. I made her wait 3 months to get her certificate. So here's her certificate. And it's not much, but because we couldn't take you to nationals and everything, we put together a little gift for you as well. So we hope you enjoy that. So thank you.
Congratulations.
Any
and
questions
that is
about
a recognition to be placed 9th
Yes.
in the nation.
In
So
the nation.
congratulations. We're proud of you.
Thank you.
Next year, are you a senior?
No, I'm a junior.
Okay, so you.
We
you can
still
go-
have time.
You still have time.
We're very excited.
Well,
Thank
thank you, Ms.
you.
Alonso.
Thank you. And Martha, congratulations to you on the ongoing success of that program. It's an exemplary program, and we're really proud of it. Governing board members' reports. Ms. Salchow?
Today I was able to attend the Dia de los Muertos celebration at Clausen and see the students' ofrendas, and they were beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It was so exciting to see so much input from our students and their teachers. They worked really very, very hard. It was extremely interesting, and I was even given a tour of the area by 2 students, and that was even nicer, was to spend a little time with a couple of students.
That's great. Encourage all board members to visit the schools. I don't know if you guys do that or not, but I'm sure you're welcome in all the buildings, and you should. Mr. Lindeman, did you have nothing? Dr.
Nothing
Gomez?
tonight.
Mr. Ramos? Okay. Item F, school activity report, Camila Barrios, and it's nice to see you literally.
Actually, we
that you're-
have, Camila is not here tonight, so Sofia Michelle is our student body vice president, and she'll be giving the ex officio report.
Oh, okay, great.
Welcome.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Samaniego, and members of the public. The activity report at DHS and DUSD schools for the month of November is as follows. Our homecoming was a success. Students and staff demonstrated school pride and showed their school spirit. A special thank you to Ms. Hughes and the Student Council for all the hard work with all the activities for the week. It was great to have our band and Share alumni perform with our students at the football game. Unfortunately, we didn't come out with a victory, but our Bulldogs played hard. The DHS Student Athlete Leadership Council visited all elementary schools and motivated our future Bulldogs to work hard through teamwork, sportsmanship, and making right choices. So what's going on in our district? Our middle schools and high schools are preparing for their annual Veterans Day assemblies, and winter sports have begun at the middle schools and the high school. Douglas High School. For the activities and the events, we had Suco go to a leadership training on November 1st. Skills USA will go to Williams, Arizona from November 3rd to November 5th. FFA Chile Field Day is November 5th. The Veterans Day Assembly will take place November 10th. The FFA Community Blood Drive is November 17th. The National Honor Society induction ceremony is November 22nd. And Thanksgiving break will run from November 24th through the 26th. At Rayburn Middle School. The Veterans Day Assembly at RBMS will be on Tuesday, November 9th at 9 a.m. We will live stream it on YouTube for those who prefer to watch it from home. A link to the event will be posted on our media sites later this week. Girls soccer and boys basketball has begun. Schedule of games will be posted on our website and media states. Paul Huber Middle School. Student Council will be taking a trip to Tucson on Friday, November 12th for a day of fun. This trip replaces the Disney trip that was scheduled for later this year. Girls soccer and boys basketball begins next week. Please come watch a game and support our Wolfpack athletes. At Clausen. The Dia de los Muertos celebration was held today. Every classroom set up an ofrenda that included pictures and a brief description of the person or pet that was displayed. We had many visitors. Red Ribbon Week brought many visitors from the community to present to our students. Thank you to the Fire Department, Border Patrol, and Customs, Police Department, Mr. Shui Duarte, the Forest Service, and Mr. Ralph Robles. At Joe Carlson. Our awards assembly for quarter 1 will be held on November 12th. Our school spelling bee will be held on November 19th. Our Kindness Club is holding a food drive this month, which will be donated to the Douglas Area Food Bank on November 23rd. For Sarah Marley. Sarah Marley is starting new recognition and incentive programs this week in order to boost attendance. We had a higher than expected turnout for our trunk or treat event, and it went very well. Red Ribbon Week was a success, and we had a variety of visitors from various local agencies come in and speak to the students. At Ferris. Very successful trunk or treat. We had 20 plus decorated vehicles at our event. We will be celebrating Dia de los Muertos on November 2nd with a display in our cafeteria. The Ferris Family Reunion Night is set for November 18, 2021. At Stevenson, Red Ribbon Week was a success. Trunk or Treat had a good turnout and parent participation was awesome. Quarter 1 Awards Assembly will be on November 16th. The Spelling Bee will be on November 17th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Where does she get all the information from the elementary schools?
The principal submitted.
To her?
I'm not sure if to Alma or to Melissa.
To Melissa.
It's Melissa, yes.
I think that's a good touch that all of that is added. Mr. Soto, year-to-date balance report.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. President, board members. This is the report for the month of October. Again, it's for our M&O monies and our district additional assistance or capital. Do you have any specific questions about the report? You may see some balance there still, but keep in mind that the minimum wage is going to go up in January, so I'm going to use that balance remaining there to cover for that.
Members of the board, do you have any question regarding the budget? I know a little later in the meeting we're going to have some questions about how an item is going to affect the current budget, but do you have any questions now on anything that's presently being reported on?
Thank you.
Mrs. Cox, Human Resource Staffing Update.
Good evening, Board President and Board members, community members. Currently, we have 3,925 students enrolled. Last year at this time, we had 3,856. Our enrollment continues to increase, and so we do see a fluctuation of increases and then student withdrawals. But we're maintaining very well. And that's all I have for tonight.
Okay, members of the board, any questions or comments regarding that?
I just want to know,
Mr. Ramos.
before the pandemic, what was our average that we used to have enrolled?
It was about 4,000.
It was close to 4,000.
A little bit over 4,000, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
So we're getting,
We're getting back.
yes.
Yeah.
I have a question, Ray.
Dr. Gomez.
Does that, and this is just for my information, does that 100-day attendance, is it still in effect?
Yes and no. Yes and no. For still, I believe for specialist students, there's still the 100-day applies for the previous year. But for the rest of the population, it's current year funding. So
Okay.
every month it's an update. But
Okay.
it's significant still, the 100-day, yes.
Any other questions, members of the board? Item G, public comments. We'll do Mr. We have one here from Mr. Kevin Smith regarding the attitude of the school concerning students that wish to attend higher education. Mr. Smith?
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring to your attention what I believe is a blasé, pervasive attitude that the high school has toward preparing the students for higher education and the acts that they do, the way that they plan stuff. Over the last couple of years, we repeatedly asked when the PSAT exam, the SAT exams would be available for the students to take. During my daughter's sophomore year, we, especially asked over there, and we were told that because of COVID, it wasn't being offered. We actually found out later that it was only not being offered in Douglas. We also were told that normally the PSAT is not offered students until their junior year. If you're not aware, PSAT and SAT exams are set up, scheduled, run by an organization called the College Board. They begin offering PSAT exams for the schools during middle school through 9th and usually 10th grades. The rest of the country, usually students take the PSAT test in their on the 10th year or 10th grade, and if they decide to retake it to try and get a higher score in their junior year, that's also availability. And then the SATs are usually taken during the junior year. This year, my daughter is a junior, and we started asking about the SAT exam and was told that in Douglas, they usually only offer it to the seniors. The problem with that is, by the time a senior takes the SAT exam and gets the scores back, a lot of times it's too late to start applying for some of the colleges. They don't have the scores available for the applications. We actually had to get special permission to get our daughter as a junior to take the SAT exam. In addition, while we're trying to get all this stuff, it came up with, this year on October 26th, the school offered the PSAT exam. It was held in the high school auditorium. For the first hour and 45 minutes during that 3-hour test, the high school band was playing behind one thin wall in the auditorium. I cannot see how that is anywhere near conducive for taking a national exam such as a PSAT. We were told that the counselor attempted to get the distraction stopped, talked to the band director. He refused, and it evidently was dropped at that point. When we complained to the school, they said, well, they were aware and they were looking into it. We asked what the possibility of possibly getting a retest because of the distractions, and we're told that, well, we could invalidate our daughter's scores this year, but she wouldn't be available to take the test again until next year, her senior year. So, because of this statement, I contacted the college board. When I described to them what happened, I filed a complaint against Douglas High School. It explained what was going on with the distracting atmosphere of the test, and they said they were going to investigate it. If it was as I said, then they would see about contacting and possibly rescheduling tests for the kids involved in that. I should not have been the one that had to do that. The school, as soon as they found out a problem, should have been the one to do that. As of right now, well, as I said earlier, all this leads me to the statement about the blasé attitude towards the school. The fact that Douglas High School offers all those college entrance exams a full year later than the rest of the country is bad enough. The fact that we had to get special permission to get our daughter to be able to take the test during the appropriate time frame. The fact that once they, discovered that there was this huge distraction going on during testing, yes, they complained to the band director, and once he refused, why wasn't it taken to someone else in the administration to get it stopped? Oh, well, they tried. This was the attitude it seemed to be. These are all examples of how the high school is doing the absolute least they can for the students that wish to graduate into higher education. And as of right now, the SAT exam that we got special permission for our daughter to take is scheduled to be taken in the next week or two. I hope that some of these issues will at least start to be consideration, at the very least, providing a distraction-free area where the test can be taken. Thank you for your attention.
Because of the open meeting law, and of course, the board can respond if they feel it's absolutely necessary. I'm going to ask Ms. Samaniego in a second to respond to just one of the claims. But I also think that the severity of what you just said there, and it's going to merit, of course, looking into, and I don't even have to instruct from the board to the superintendent to do that, but that'll be an item on the next agenda, and it'll be sooner if we have a special meeting. The first question, and we're not going to open it up for discussion, but again, I want to, within the parameters of legality, if we feel it important enough, we can respond, but we don't want to get into a discussion about it. Mr. Smith, when you said they, you repeatedly mentioned they through, who is they? You said they couldn't, they did, the school?
When we would contact people at the school, those were the answers that we were given.
I understand, but who was
Sometimes
they?
it was from the counselors, sometimes it was from higher up in the administration, whoever we could talk to. It was not any one particular person, but the whole, everything always seemed to mesh, the whole attitude that, well, we're working. Like, when we had to go through to get special permission for her to take the test, we went through the counselor doing that. She had to go to her supervisors in order to get that special permission in order for us.
Did you speak to the principal along the way?
My wife did.
Okay, and then when you mentioned the incident when they were actually taking the test and the disruption by the band, you said that when the complaint was logged that it was a distraction. Who was that told to? The counselor that was administrating the test?
The counselor is the one that tried to talk to the band director, that tried to get the distraction stopped and wouldn't do it. From that point on, to the best of my knowledge, the counselor never went any higher.
Okay, great. All right, so we will, board members, have that as an item on the agenda because of the severity of the claims, because that's kind of distressing to know that those kinds of things are happening. If they are happening, and of course, we certainly will give the administration an opportunity to come back to the board on that, and of course, you'll know when we discuss it, okay? Ms. Samaniego, you will follow up on that as well.
Yes, I certainly will. There's some points here to look into further, and especially any testing like such as this is always given in a quiet area where it's protected space. So I will definitely follow up.
Okay, and then we have somebody else wants to
Yes.
address the board, and ironically, it's the
band
director of the
teacher.
band.
Yes. This is from Mr. Nathan Darris, DHS band teacher and director. I want to write a note of thanks to the district and the school board for allowing the amazing field trip to ASU on Saturday, September 18th with the Douglas High School Choir and ASU Choir. They got a lot of extra vocal pedagogy and a chance to sing in a large choir format. The students that went did an amazing job, and there were many great sounds out of those who performed. I also want to write a note of thanks to the district and the school board for allowing another amazing field trip to U of A on Saturday, October the 30th with the Douglas High School Band, who got to watch various marching bands compete. It really did help us gain new ideas for next year and excitement to get a marching band back on the football field soon. The students that went had many questions along with ideas to encourage our current band to grow stronger and compete in the future. We currently have a few students working on regional etudes to record an audition to try and attend the U of A Honor Band in February of 2022. The deadline is November 11th. Both the band and choir will be performing November 11th at the fairgrounds and annual Veterans Day Parade. The 8th graders have been participating some pep band tunes to join in playing with the band at the final football game of the year this Friday, joining us on the field with us for the national anthem and the stands to cheer the team. I have also left a flyer we are doing monthly for the band, thanking our alumni band who played during homecoming. We enjoyed their hard work and sounds. We hope to involve them again in future events. Thank you for your consideration. Nathan Darris.
Okay, item 2, consent agenda items. Approval of the following consent agenda items. Number 1, payroll and expense vouchers 1 through 3. Mr. Lindeman, please, if you'd make that motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda items.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Burring?
Yes, item 3, discussion information only on the update of Douglas High School new space construction. Ms. Samaniego.
As I mentioned earlier, Douglas High School construction of the new high school addition finally began, and you'll see more. You've seen activity there since last Wednesday. I will turn it over to Mr. Soto for you to get him to give a brief report, and then we also have Mr. Alan Levine, who is on telephonically in case the board has any questions. But we are on course and ready to hit groundbreaking soon.
Yeah, Yeah, like Mrs. Samaniego said, the company Adolfson and Peterson started bringing equipment to on site, and I think today their trailer was delivered. Now again,
I'm on hold, okay?
equipment started showing up. If you guys remember, on the north of the gym, there was some concrete slabs. Those have been removed. On the practice fields, the baseball dugouts and the backstop also have been removed. There's been already been several meetings with the city in regards of water and sewer and all that stuff. There's a little bit of issues right now with parking for their employees and fencing the area. They're doing as much as they can to secure the area, especially because of the kids. You know, sometimes they wander around the area. So they're working on fencing all that area, so the kids have a safe area to walk when they go to the gym. Obviously, all that area on that gate towards transportation is off limits to students and some staff. What else? There's been some issues with APS. Again, the portable is there, but there's no power and there's no internet at this point. But they're working on that. They contacted APS, so hopefully that's going to be resolved soon. What else? We've been having weekly meetings with the company and with Alan and Rob, the architect, and the project manager, and ourselves. There's everything is moving.
Furniture pretty soon. So during these weekly meetings, we have updates, and of course, we're going to start ordering furniture soon because we want to lock in the price. And of course, you know, things will be coming in, and we will have to store them someplace as the building gets done. So there's things that are happening, but we have Ellen here, who's our project manager and meets with us weekly, and Adolfson and Peterson has asked that if any of our staff or any of governing board members visits the sites and wants to take a tour by what they're doing, that you just make sure you try to make contact with an Adolfson and Peterson employee so that they can walk with us instead of us just coming onto site. You know, it's just for safety and protection of us. So they asked that today for any of our staff and board members. And you're welcome to go check it out at any time. But I don't know if the board has any specific questions.
When we discuss the contract, and obviously it appears like it might be an issue now, because my understanding was that they should have already started the construction. And the question was asked during the board meeting about the penalty clause because of the inconvenience and all of the other simultaneous problems it could cause if we're not on time. Was there ever any clarity, because I think I asked the question about that 30-day penalty clause, was there ever any clarity given by the attorney or the company regarding specifically what they said when they said within that 30-day period? And I think I asked if there was going to be more specificity, because if we're looking at a delay, and the way I see it right now, they're behind schedule because they haven't started. Is there going to be a way for us to solve any disagreement that we have with them at the end? Because the penalty clause does have punitive damages in it, and they're monetary. So you want to address that a minute, or maybe Alan?
Yes, and that's why we have Alan, because I do recall Mr. Brain asked that question when we were getting ready to sign the contract, and obviously our attorney had reviewed extensively that contract before even coming into agreement with Adolfson and Peterson before we brought it to the board. That in specific was never a question that our attorney brought to us and say, hey, look at this clause, but we have had those discussions with our team, and that's why we have Alan here today to be able to answer that question. Alan?
Sure, I'll be happy to answer. Good afternoon, everybody.
Did you hear the question?
There is a completion clause, a 330-day completion clause from the day that they were issued the authorization to proceed. And after that 330-day, technically speaking, there is a penalty clause for late completion. So that definitely is built into the contract. However, that said, we have spoken to the contractors. You are correct. They are about 2 weeks behind schedule from the time they were given authorization. There's several mitigating factors, including permit delays, which were created by the city. But we've met with senior management at Adolphson and Peterson, and they have given us an assurance that they will eliminate or do everything possible to eliminate the time creep and to get back on schedule. And I just wanted to let the board know that as project managers, we create a baseline, a schedule baseline, and on a monthly basis, we will have an overlay showing any time creep so that we can address that and produce that for the board so that we can keep you informed. A mitigating factor in favor of ANP is that they are a large company with good resources. They are anxious to get back into the school construction again, and the project will serve as a reference. So I believe they will be on their best behavior and that they will do everything necessary to bring the schedule in line. As far as maybe just giving you a look ahead, I don't know if there's time, but I'd be happy to just tell you what's going to be happening in the next 3 weeks, if that is something that you feel is relevant.
Well, I think that's very commendable that they're going to try to get back on schedule and they're going to do the best they can, but that doesn't answer the question. What's going to happen if they do not fulfill the terms of the contract and they're late because of the one clause that was in the contract regarding the penalty? Is that going to be executed, or are we going to end up, and I don't want anybody to feel that we're jumping way ahead of the game, but the eventuality is there. And so if you could just quickly address, is that penalty clause going to be in effect, and how much is it going to be, so that the board will know that, say 2 months from now, we start getting reports from them that they're behind schedule and it was acts of God or whatever it happens to be. We want to be assured as a school district that we know whether or not that part of the contract is going to be in effect.
You're absolutely quite correct. And yes, there is an enforceable penalty clause. It is $750 per day after 330 days from the day that they were given the commencement. So that literally coincides with the start of the new school year in 2022. And whether it's enforceable or not, we hope it won't be necessary to enforce, because there's all sorts of reasons with COVID and everything else that they could throw at us. But I honestly believe at this stage that we're dealing with a reputable company that will not that'll go out of their way to make sure that they make the time schedule, just because this is important to them. So while we have the teeth in the contract, we do have a penalty clause. I believe we also do have a company that is going to really do what they need to do to catch up on the 2 or 3 week creep that they have lost at this stage in time.
Okay, members of the board, do you have any specific questions you want to ask regarding the construction or the contract?
No, not at this time.
Ms. Salchow?
So what I understand you to say that one of the main reasons for the delays was because of permits from the city?
That is correct. For some reason, and we don't quite understand what happened with the city, the school paid the city for the permits. For some reason, there was a delay at the city, and that did create a little bit of a delay. I'm not 100% happy that I think that that's the only delay. I think that the contractor did get off onto a little bit of a late start over here, but we've really gone to senior management and told them that it's absolutely of the essence, time is of the essence, and that they have to do everything necessary to bring this back in line. So yeah, we do have the teeth in the clause, the teeth in the contract with a penalty clause, but I sincerely hope that we won't have to get there, because that's always very messy. But it is there. It was put in there by the council, and it is there as a safety factor.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Ms. Salchow, were you done?
I'm finished.
Anybody else?
No, just following up on that is, we should look into as to why, if there was a delay from the city getting those permits, as to why there was that delay. Because it's going to affect us us, the district here. So we need to know if in fact there was a delay with the permits, because either they're doing or are doing or whatever, so we can know.
I'm sorry, I'm having a very difficult time hearing you. I do apologize.
Yeah, I would say we're gonna have, I would like to see going into and finding out in the city what caused the delays with the city getting those permits to them on time. So this is something that we want to follow up on too. I believe that would be.
Gosh, I'm terribly sorry, but the line has gone completely muffled. I apologize.
Alan, can you hear me?
I can, Anna.
Okay, Mr. Ramos is asking if that we should find out and try to see what the delay, or if there was a definite delay from city to Adolphson and Peterson in issuing the permits.
And in fact, we can and will get to the bottom of it. We understand that the check was delivered a couple of days late, but I don't believe that that should be the only reason. And I'm going to be totally honest with you, Anna, if you don't mind conveying it. I do believe that the contractors did definitely start a couple of weeks late, and I don't think it can be entirely blamed on the permit. I think they could have gotten the permit if they want to. I think they were just having a problem getting their first level contractors, but we're given to understand that the Spencer Construction, who are doing the excavating, are actually working at the moment, and they will be on site in next week to start actually delivering soil to bring the level of the pad up to the street level.
Who was dealing with the city? Was the district? That's part of the construction expense is that they deal with them.
The district
so we don't want them to come back and say the school
directly.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't deal with them directly, so.
Okay, members of the board, anything else? Thank you very much, Alan. We appreciate you very much taking your time to enlighten us on that.
It's a pleasure, and you've got our assurance that as a team, we're going to bend over backwards to work with A&P to make sure that the building is delivered the way it's meant to be.
Okay.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you. Item 3B, discussion action on the approval of certified hires. Entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the certified hires.
Second.
Second by Ms. Salchow. Discussion. Any explanation, Ms. Samaniego?
No, as presented.
Roll call.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bermain?
Yes. Item C, discussion action on the approval of classified hires. Entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve the classified hires.
By Mr. Lindemann, is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Ramos. Any discussion? Anything you want to point
No.
out, Ms. Samaniego?
As presented.
Roll call.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bermain?
Yes. Item D, discussion action on the approval of certified retirement. Ms. Samaniego, before we get an item, you want to?
Yes, as presented, and it is with regret that we accept Ms. Suzy Cantua's retirement letter. She's been with us for 22 years. She's a Stevenson teacher and will be retiring next school year, 22-23 school year, at the very beginning of it.
Entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the retirement request.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. President,
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Lindemann.
I just wanted to ask Superintendent Samaniego if the requests within the letter are going to be a problem in any way, or is that something that's administrative?
No, yeah, we can work on the details with a date, yes. Do you
Okay.
mean with a date of retirement?
Yeah.
Yes,
And then
no.
there are
Yes, we can work on-
ramifications.
Dr. Gomez.
Well, it's just that I got confused. It's my age, but it says 22, so it's not.
Yes, it's not, so she's submitting it,
A
way
year
in
ahead,
advance, a
okay.
year ahead, yes.
Yeah.
But that won't in any way.
No, we're gonna have to schedule somebody in for, we've had this happen before, so we kind of make it work.
Okay, thank you.
Roll call.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bermain?
Yes. Item E, discussion action on the approval of classified resignations and retirements. Get a motion on the floor
Move to approve.
by Mr. Lindeman,
Second.
second by Ms. Salchow. Any discussion? Anything you want to add, Ms. Amaniego?
No, as presented. And if you see that Ms. Blanca Guajardo is included on that list, she is a retirement. And Blanca also with regret, and she'll be retiring in December of 21, and she's been a long time, not sure how many years, but she has been a long-time employee of this district, so we want to wish her well.
Very good. Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bereen?
Yes, item F, discussion action on the approval of classified transfers. Entertain a motion to approve those
Move to approve.
by Mr. Lindeman,
Second.
second by Ms. Salchow. Discussion, members of the board? Ms. Samaniego, anything you want to add?
No.
Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bereen?
Yes, item G, discussion action on the approval of increase in hours for all of those people listed there. Entertain a motion to approve
Move to approve.
by Mr. Lindeman, second
Second.
by Ms. Salchow. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bereen?
Yes, item H, discussion action on the approval of athletic hire of Richard Montijo, assistant boys basketball coach. Entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second by Ms. Salchow. You know, on those athletic hires, was there any backup on Mr. Montijo?
Mrs. Cox, were you given anything from HR? I don't have anything in my.
You know,
but-
not that there's anything egregious about it, but on athletic hires, especially if it's a head job, the board should be given background information as to what their experience is, what the history in the district, and those kinds of things, so that we know exactly who we're approving.
Okay.
Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bereen?
Yes. Item I, discussion action on the approval of volunteer. Entertain a motion to
I move
approve
to approve the volunteer.
by Mr. Lindeman.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ramos. Any discussion? Anything you want to add, Ms. Sonia?
No, as presented.
Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bereen?
Yes. Item J, information only, transfer from custodian to, from DHS to custodian, Joe Carlson, Rosa Chavez. Anything you want to
No,
add
that's
to
just for
that?
information purposes. only.
Information only. Item K, discussion action on the approval of donations received for Douglas Unified District number 27. Let's get the motion on the floor for discussion, Mr. Lindeman.
Move to approve the donations.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Any discussion? Do you want to give any more information regarding that, Ms. Samaniego?
Just, thank you to all the individuals and organizations who are donating to several schools and clubs. We have DHS volleyball team, DHS baseball club, we have Joe Carlson Elementary, Sarah Marley, and a few teacher class awards from Joe Carlson. So thank you to the different organizations.
Just for clarification, and the right person's here to ask that, Dr. Gomez, are the Knights of Columbus still an active group? And the reason I ask that is I think there was some discussion a while back about they couldn't put their name someplace, but are they still an active group?
Well, we're trying to be, COVID really hit us hard, but we're trying to be, and one of the things that we've done every year is when the baseball club, we help them put on a golf tournament, and they run the money through our organization, and then we give it back to the club.
Okay, great. And that's very generous. That's
Yes.
3,600, I think, and
Nice.
no, $3,030. Yeah. Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
Yes, sir.
Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bereen?
Yes. Item L, discussion action on the approval of addendum number 6 of Future Education of Arizona Service Agreement for ESS Department. Entertain a motion to approve
I
that
move to approve.
by Mr. Lindeman, second
Second.
by Ms. Salchow. Discussion. Ms. Samaniego, you want to give?
Yes, so this is obviously needing 2 additional school psychologists. As you know, we have to contract with Futures to bring outside services, and due to the increased request for evaluations, we are needing to hire 2 additional for a total of 100 hours for the remainder of the school year.
And that, of course, is contractual, right?
Yes,
How many do we have now total?
we have 2.
Oh,
Two that-
with these two?
Will be an additional 2.
Also,
Yes, 4 total.
okay.
What does that do to the contract as far as, the board approves, of course, the increase, and it's just an amendment to the contract?
Yes.
Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bering?
Yes, item M, discussion action on the approval of the superintendent's performance goals. I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
I move to approve the performance goals.
Second by Mr. Ramos. Any discussion or any clarity that you would like to point out on anything, Ms. Samaniego, regarding your
No,
performance?
just, academics is always a number 1 goal. I mean, it's not on here specifically, but academics and fiscally financial responsibility for the district also. So in addition to, we've had the need for an AOI school here for quite some time, and last year I had talked to Mr. Walker. We were going to initiate it. Things happened, and so that is one of my goals, and we're getting that going. And that'll be an AOI school for 9th to 12th grade if approved by ADE. And obviously, coming back from COVID, we know that the social, emotional well-being of staff and students has been hit hard. And so that is a goal too, and these are not only my goals, but, my staff, my principals, all of our staff works on these together. And then 3 is developing a technology plan for us to be a one-to-one device district. And we don't want to lose what we gained with COVID. We want to increase our technology awareness and knowledge.
Very good. And on behalf of the board, I can say that because of the very troubling times that we had during the COVID and all of the things you were asked to do, that were some of them were totally simultaneous and unexpected, and you mentioned it, from you and your staff all the way down to the building principals and everybody classified as well. So we have a motion on the floor.
Yes,
Roll
sir.
call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bering?
Yes, item N, discussion action on the approval of athletic resignation. I'll get a motion on the floor to discuss that.
I
Mr.
move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Salchow, I'm sorry, did I miss you? Was it you? Dr. Gomez?
It was me.
Oh, Monty.
said it, but it was me.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Let's give him credit for that second. We're going to supersede you on that, Ms. Salchow, and give it to him. He's got to prove that he was here, to his family. Let's have some discussion regarding that resignation, because that's significant.
Yes, it is.
He's been with the district a long time, been a very successful coach, and I'd say more for the board's consumption and public as to what are the reasons.
Okay. Obviously, it is with regret that I bring this resignation to you. Alfonso Romero has been a boys soccer coach for many years. I don't know exactly how many, Mr. Ortega, I don't know if you know, but I know he coached my own boys, and I know the skills that they gained from him, so I am very sad to see him go. This has nothing to do but with job requirements that would prohibit him from continuing with soccer coaching. I believe his resignation, it is an opportunity for a better career for him, and the hours, I think, would not allow him with this new job, which started today, to continue coaching and going on away trips and doing things. And knowing what I know about Mr. Romero, I know he's leaving with a broken heart. So we want to thank him for the many years.
Okay, so before we move on to the next part of this, members of the board, do you have any questions, comments you'd like to make? We might as well, at this time, do some background, and of course, we'll vote on it next. We've also got a future item there, future down the list on the agenda, that you have got a successor that you're going to recommend.
As interim.
Okay, and I think it's important, and I think there's some background information
Yes.
for the board regarding that in there. And that's, the successor is going to be, go ahead, Ms.
Yes, Mr. Victor Ramos, who has been part of the soccer program alongside with Alfonso Romero for probably as many years as he's been there. And he's being recommended as the interim head coach. And when we have the opportunity, season is over, that position will become vacant, and we will go through the whole opening of the position and interviewing. But Victor Ramos is also has been with the program and also has been successful alongside Mr. Romero.
Okay, and that's interim, he'll be the interim?
Yes,
When we get to that
Yes.
item. Okay, roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berrien?
Yes. Item O, discussion action on the approval of athletic hires, and exactly what we were just talking about, Mr. Victor Ramos and Alfredo Romero. Let's get a motion on the floor to get for the discussion.
Move to approve.
By Mr. Lindemann, second?
Second.
By Mr. Ramos.
You got it.
Any discussion, members of the board? Do you want to give a little bit
Yes.
more than what you did? if you
Yes,
want?
Mr. Ramos, Victor Ramos has been a DHS assistant coach for soccer since 2004. This will be his 17th year in the program. And Alfredo Romero has been with the DHS soccer program as an assistant coach from 1999 to 2003, then came back 2016 to the present for a total of 10 years of coaching soccer alongside Mr. Romero and Mr. Ramos. So they are going to be, they're being recommended as interim.
Were all those coaches successors to Mr. Cormier?
Yeah, they worked with Mr. Cormier, all four of them, I believe.
Okay.
All four of them, all three of them worked with Mr. Cormier.
Any discussion, members of the board? Roll call.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, did you have something you wanted
I got
to
excited now.
Roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berrien?
Yes. Item 4, information items. Request for future agenda items, members of the board?
I would just like to see, I know Caesar, sometimes gets bored in his office. And
Sure.
I'm just kidding, Caesar. An update on the solar panels that were installed about how many years ago?
Well, it depends which ones are you
Which
talking
one?
about, because there's been different phases. The most recent one is Joe Carlson Elementary.
Okay. If we could have just an update report of that, since we got them up to date, how much we've gained from having those solar panels.
Well, I can give you a little bit, if I may, Mr. President. I mean, those solar panels are providers to the whole grid. It's not for our own gain. Yes, there's a clause there that they're going to give us a fixed rate for a determined number of years. But yeah, I can run some numbers and give you an idea of how much we've saved.
We
because
can
of
say,
that.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr.
Board
Bergen,
members, anybody else? Dr. Gomez?
this is just kind of levity, but Oscar, my son-in-law, was refereeing, I guess, a football game, and they were talking among the referees, and this guy was saying, God, he says, I really love to watch the Douglas School Board meeting on the internet. And then Oscar said, well, I'm from there, and my father-in-law is on the board. And the guy says, well, they really have a good time.
Well, I can't think of anything more boring than to watch a school board meeting on the internet. But that's good to know. I forgot what Mark Twain said about school boards. Oh yeah, but I better not mention it. But he had a very nice little statement he made about school boards. do we have a motion? We don't need a motion. We're discussing future items, right? So now we go to Veterans Day. Ms. Samaniego, do you want to do the announcements?
Yes, we have Veterans Day, so no school and all district offices will be closed on Thursday, November 11th. Wednesday is a work day, and so is Friday. Just want to remind everybody. Thanksgiving break, Wednesday, November 24th through Friday, November 26th. There will be no school on that day, and then all district offices will be closed on Thursday and Friday. And the next regular board meeting is December 7th. And you want a report on the DHS situation for next meeting. Mr. Bray, do you want to report for the DHS?
Oh, I'm
Yes?
sorry. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all
Or
right.
sooner.
Or sooner, okay.
Item 5, executive session. The governing board may vote into executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431.03, subsection A, number 1, for the following personnel matter and to obtain legal advice with the district attorneys in executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431.03, subsection A, 3 and 4. The board may decide the matter in public meeting after a decision to a later date or direct the district's attorney to take action in executive session. And the two items to be discussed under the two different statutes are A, consideration of a 2021-22 certified teacher to be released from her contract, and B, under the other statute, discussion and possible decision regarding legal claims related to payroll. I'll entertain a motion to do that.
I move to enter into executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Ramos. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Perrin?
Yes, and I think we're going to go into the superintendent's office because we have the attorney hooked up in there, or are we going to do it here?
Oh, we can do it here. I'm going to call him directly from here.
Okay, so then, well, we're in executive session.
mean, the first one to approve Maria Reyes.
Yeah.
Right.
A and then B.
Right.
So we're going to do that
Uh-huh.
motion,
A.
right?
A.
Right.
Mitch?
Mr. Bering?
The sergeant at arms.
Yeah.
That, you know, that it We're back in open session. Mark, we're ready to go. Item 6A, discussion action on the request of the release of the fiscal year 2021-22 contract submitted by Ms. Maria Rea, certified teacher at RBMS. Entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve the certified teacher be released from her contract to pay out the existing sick leave, and she may be rehireable, and no liquidated damages.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Ramos. All right. Discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bering?
Yes. Item B, discussion and possible decision regarding legal claims related to payroll. Ms. Samaniego, want to give us a brief history of that?
Yes. Back in 2011, under Senate Bill 1609.
Excuse me a minute. First of all, Ms. Salchow, do you want to make a statement regarding
Yes.
this item?
I will be recusing myself from this decision and this vote
Due to a conflict of
due
interest?
to a conflict of interest.
Okay, thank you.
Back in 2011, under Senate Bill 1609, Arizona State Retirement System implemented a change in the alternative contribution rate, which is known as ACR, to employers who hire ASRS retirees who return to work. Under the Arizona Revised Statute 38766.02, it stated the following, that beginning in July 2012, it required employers to pay the alternative contribution rate for members who return to work in any capacity and in any position ordinarily filled by an employee of the employer. It also required employers to pay the ACR on behalf of any retiree that it employed regardless of the 2020 status, direct leasing contract arrangement, or whether the retiree satisfied the 12-month break. Recently, in this few months, this was brought to my attention by a former retiree who believed that the district had to refund him and a certain amount of money for the ACR that he paid while he worked as a retiree. So as a follow-up on that incident, we did a thorough investigation of ACR and former retirees, and we came across other people that were affected. So I think it is our obligation and in good faith to remedy this situation, and so therefore it is my recommendation to pay the alternative contribution rate amount to former and current members who returned to work as a retiree during the 2012-2016 per ARS 38766.02, which required employers to pay the ACR on behalf of the retiree for the individual amounts presented and for a total amount of $198,059.94 as a settlement agreement.
Okay, okay, you said it's settled agreement, and part of that motion should include that the settled agreement as pro-offered with all of the conditions involved in that agreement.
Yes.
Because there's going to be some limitation times and those kinds of things. I think you pointed out, and I think he did it very well, but I think we need to stress that federal and state laws must be complied with at local district levels, and administrations are charged with fulfilling those obligations. And especially when it comes to benefits for employees, if you're going to maintain trust and confidence and integrity for the district, that you should comply with those laws. That law and mandate was not complied with, and that's why the board is in the position we're in now, because we're looking at what you might call back pay as a result of it, because it's back pay related to taxes that shouldn't have been paid by the employer. by the employee.
By the employee in
And
2012.
now we're trying to do what's right, and the administration, when they became aware of it, they acted promptly, and they contacted the attorney, and that's why we are here tonight, to try to rectify this situation. So, Ms. Samaniego, I think the way you just read that statement, and if you've got that on tape, correct? And of course, she's got it written if there's anything that you might have missed. I'll entertain a motion to adopt as a motion the statement made by the superintendent.
I move to approve and adopt the statement and the recommendation by the superintendent.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Ramos. Discussion. Let's be clear what's happening here, because it's important. There was a mandate that was issued to all public entities that they pay the employees' share, and it was done because of it was
change in law.
the Arizona State Retirement System actuarial situation. This district didn't do it. This district continued to charge those employees that were retired
From
that
2012 through 2016.
to 2016. They continued to charge them that portion that they shouldn't have been paying, the district should have been paying. And try to make it as simplistic as possible. All we're doing now is paying all those employees back, which is morally our obligation to do, the money that they actually invested and shouldn't have had, and we're going to give that money back to them in a settlement offer. All right? Now, we have a motion on the floor. Anybody else have any discussion? Dr. Gomez, any discussion? Mr. Ramos? Roll call.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Dr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Berry.
Yes. And administratively, how are you going to notify all these individuals that were affected by it?
We have a settlement letter and an explanation that will be mailed to their last known address on file with the district, and that's how we're going to do it, through HR.
Okay. Mr. Lindemann? Nothing? Any members of the board? Very good. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Ramos. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.